Hey everybody,
Hi guys.
welcome back.
Here we are with blog 23 and
Cut. We don't call it a blog.
it's a vlog. Okay. See. Okay, once again.
Welcome back everybody to vlog number 23 with the turtle and the tiger,
And here we are in the Santa Fe National Forest.
which we're not going to talk about quite yet. But instead we're going to talk about our...
Rye Colorado house sit.
That's right. Do you think we should tell them the town?
It's too late. We already told them the town.
I know, but I could edit it out.
Oh no, I think
Okay,
that's fine. It's
okay.
Rye Colorado. You know, they also have an Airbnb, so it's advertising for them.
That's true. So where were we before? We ironically, Trinidad Lake State Park. We used that as the layup to the house sit on the day that we were supposed to be up there, which was a
Monday we got there.
at about
Noonish, I would say.
and we drove up. It was an hour and a half, something like that. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
probably about an hour to get there.
And we met the lady of the house at the local high school
Yep, so she could guide us into where they lived.
where they live, thankfully, because it was
Yes.
a little remote.
Little
You-
remote, it had a locked gate. We probably would have found it, but it
yeah.
was, it was
Yeah.
nice to have somebody that was taking us there so we weren't like,
Right.
oh my God, really? Is this where we're going?
So we get to the high school to meet the lady,
Ava.
Ava, very nice woman, and we actually got there early, we thought, and she just happened to be in town going to the post office and saw our rig, which was pretty hard to miss, and so she came right over. I don't think I had it in park, and I'm looking in their
Right.
side mirror, and there's
And
this
there
truck
she
coming
was.
up, and had her dog with her, one of the dogs, Dolce.
Dolce.
And so she was very nice, and then Yvette got in her truck so that those two could get acquainted and left me solo in the truck, so I followed behind, and we go out into the country and successfully smaller roads, and then we get to the driveway.
Which was a gated driveway. You have to have a code to get in.
Yep, or a remote with a code in
Right.
it. And the gate opens up and you drive in.
And it's a mile and a half in.
From
the
the
gate.
gate.
From the
gate. And I have to say, we've been in some state parks, and we're now in the national park. And don't you think, like, if that whole group of people, there's about 8 houses back there, I guess. Because
Probably.
you don't want to call it a gated community, because it's not an atypical gated community, but they are private roads.
Yes.
And they take care of their own roads. But it was just like driving into a state park,
Or
like
a national park, a forest.
Right.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
as you come in, you're coming into a canyon that have some feeder canyons here and there from it. But you have beautiful fir trees off to one side and beautiful rock formations off the other side, and you're just meandering up this dirt road that I don't know what would have happened in some spots if we met another car. Somebody would have had to have backed up.
Yeah, because
But,
it wasn't.
yeah.
And you'll get to see the footage, guys.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous where they lived.
So we get to the house.
Get to the house. We get to meet her husband, John.
Yep.
So it's John and Ava.
Yep.
They start showing us around the house and the barn because we had 2 dogs, Dolce and Roxy.
Right.
Then there were
2 cats,
2 cats, Cowboy and Cowgirl,
2 horses, Freckles,
Freckles and Major. And then Burrito the donkey.
Yep, one donkey that was a rescue donkey, I think. It was
I think
fairly
so.
old.
Probably, yeah, I think Burrito was like 22
Yep.
years old.
Yep.
So they introduced us to the house and showed us the layout. It was like being back home.
It was. The house actually was set up sort of as a mirror image inside as ours. So if you were in the cathedral ceiling living room area looking out the windows, ours, the kitchen was on the left and the stairs were on the right, where theirs, it was the opposite way. And you'd walk back by the kitchen the same way. And it was a
Right.
little bit bigger.
Yeah, their house was bigger, but they had the exact same wood stove that we had.
Same exact wood stove. So that was, I just looked at it and like he was trying to teach me how to use it. I'm like, yep, it's going to be pretty straightforward.
We dealt with that for 25 years. So.
Yep. But I don't want to get into too many details right away. So they gave us a good orientation, and then they had to leave that day.
Right, because they were leaving to go up to Denver.
Right. So they left us with the house for a week.
9 days.
Was it 9 days?
9 days. We got there on a Monday. We left on a Wednesday evening.
And we both agree, I think, that it was one of the nicest things that we've done on this trip. One of the nicest house sits and one of the nicest.
I mean, it was great. They made dinner for us, so we had dinner the first night. They made us enchiladas, a nice salad, left us a bottle of wine.
A nice card, a nice thank you card. I mean, this is totally not
appreciation.
Not to bring up a sore subject, but
let's not.
I'm gonna, because I think it needs to be said. It's like, it's sort of the standard by which most people try to do a house sit as a homeowner. But,
right, it was a great house sit for what they did for us for our first night and stuff. I mean, and it's the same way with our first house sit.
Yes.
You know, they had the
Melissa. Yep, exactly.
Kitchen was well stocked. They left us. I mean, she was like, drink whatever you want, the wine. Don't leave me any wine. You know, drink whatever, eat whatever you want out of the freezer. I mean, if anything, Melissa had the
she set the standard. Yeah,
right, for
she set the standard.
A house for food wise.
Yeah. So, so some of the highlights of the whole thing, we had.
It was nice to be able to go out hiking.
Oh, wow, the trail.
Right out the back door like home and not see a soul.
Yeah.
We didn't have to drive anywhere to go for a walk. And the dogs were off leash, just like we used to have with Buddy.
Yeah.
You know, it was their property.
And one of the cats would usually come too.
Right. The
cat would just start walking right with you.
Yeah, kind of like back home, the cats would always want to follow you. So we would take them all for a hike.
Yeah. And there was plenty of trails. He had, literally, you could walk out the door, and he had 3 or 4 trails off the lawn that would feed into other trails, a lot of which I think he made himself, and they would meander up through the canyon tops and whatever. Some of the rock formations, I took some video of it to show some of the rock formations and the topography in relationship to the house. And it wasn't like we were near anybody, really. We had one neighbor that was sort of you could barely see his roof.
Right.
But other than that, you couldn't hear or see anything. And you get a nice picture of the Greenhorn Mountains, which I think we're going to have as we're making as our intro piece to each of our videos for a while, because it was so cool.
Right.
We finally got to fly the drone to do some shots where we have not been able to fly it in state parks, etc.
Or national parks.
National
you can't
parks.
Fly it anywhere there.
Yeah, they kind of poo-poo on that. So,
but one of the real big highlights of this house sit was back at home. We used to always utilize our wildlife cameras.
Oh yes,
it's what we did to see what was out there when we didn't see it. So we had set the cameras up.
Not too far away from the house.
No, right behind the wood pile. Set this camera up on a log at the junction of the trail coming in. And we got...
Right off the bat, we got a fox the first night. Was it the first or second night?
First night we got the fox, and then the second night we got the mountain lion.
Yeah, our regular old...
Like he owned the place, just sauntering up to the camera. It was amazing. I never expected that.
No, not at all.
Ava did say that she had seen a mountain lion once.
Right.
Out hiking with the dogs, and the dogs had treed the mountain lion. But...
So would you say, they can't see it, but the truck is probably about as far away from the house as the camera was.
Oh.
Maybe closer.
Closer. I mean, it probably wasn't...
70, 50 feet, 40 feet?
Yeah, maybe 40, 50 feet,
and that's where the camera was, and the lion was walking towards the camera.
Towards the house.
Towards the house. So for all intents and purposes, we know that the lion was closer than 40 feet.
Right.
We just don't know how close. We couldn't find any tracks.
But
very healthy.
Yeah. Oh, gorgeous.
And the swagger and the saunter. And Carol Hepburn, who's a
animal
control person and an avid watcher, when we posted the photo on Facebook, we had a hard time posting video. She saw it and she said, listen up, folks. All those people out there that you think you've seen, you think you've seen a mountain lion? Nuh-uh. That is a mountain lion. And you can just, I mean, when they flip back their feet when they're walking, just like a giant
the
cat.
Tail, I mean, it's just, there's no mistaking seeing a mountain lion, which was just amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, that was after our first couple of nights that we were there. And then after that, you're kind of, when you're walking out in the yard at night to either get the dogs back or whatever you're going to do, you're just kind of like wondering where they're out. And even
because this was early too. This was at like 11:30. In the evening.
And where he came out of was a trail that went up into the canyon that we walked. And there were, from what I've read, that mountain lions like to sit on top of a rock or somewhere and next to a trail. So every time we went for a walk after that, it was just like, you're always looking on top of these big boulders that you were walking by to make sure, somebody isn't perched up there. So that was pretty cool.
There were plenty of them. Yeah, so that was amazing to be able to see that. Then we had a big dust storm come through for about 24 hours.
More wind. Jeez,
anywhere between 40 to probably 60
miles an hour. And I have a short clip I'm going to show here of what it sounded like inside the house. I took a iPhone clip. So here's a quick iPhone.
Okay, and we've got pictures of not being able to see the mountains because of all the dust. That was not a usual thing for them.
Yeah, so the mountains you see in the intro or some of the aerial shots, all of that just literally, disappeared to the point where you could see, and it was just even a quarter of a mile away, you could see the dust and feel it. And it was, your hair would feel dirty and...
Yeah, it was just wicked.
And then that night, just like somebody threw a switch, it kind of... Well, there was one night where it blew all through the night, but then at the end of the next day, it stopped.
It was gone.
And then she said, Ava said that her son knew somebody from Fowler, Colorado, that they had 80-mile-an-hour gusts.
Right.
Now, wind is wind, right? No big deal, wind, things blow down. But the problem here is that they have had no snow that they normally have, which this time of the year, she said last year they had a couple of feet of snow in April.
End of April.
So they have no snow melt because they had a really bad year for, ski season was almost non-existent here. And then there hasn't been any rain. So everything is absolutely dry, where they're just, a single spark or a cigarette butt or misplaced something or another. And then they're in big trouble, especially with the wind. I mean, you talk about 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds all day. That can really lead to... It's a disaster
waiting to happen.
Yeah, really. So there was that. So, and then we did a road trip. We went to Pueblo.
We went to Pueblo. Nice little Italian market there.
Yeah. Do you remember the name of the market?
No, but I'm sure we could figure it out.
No, I've got some pictures of it. So who'd have thought, in the middle of Pueblo, but there is an Italian section where people, and they had this neat little market. You could get sandwiches, you could get all your dry goods, any Italian good, olive oils, pastas, things of that nature, meats, etc. You could get. And we have a visitor with music playing. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Guess we'll be cutting this part out.
And there's no license plate on the back of that car either.
How is it? It's in the window.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's taped in the window.
How you doing?
Okay, we're cutting this all out.
No, we're not. So we got a couple of sandwiches. We got some meats and some dry goods, and that's it.
Yeah, we didn't really do too much, and then we went back.
Yep. We stopped at the. I know what we did. We stopped at the ranger station, where like we did in Alamogordo in New Mexico. There's these ranger stations that control the national forests in different regions. So, for instance, Alamogordo was actually Lincoln National Forest headquarters.
Oh, right, Lincoln
and then we will be going to Santa Fe for the Santa Fe National Forest headquarters there. But you get different maps and information as to where to camp and things like that.
A lot more detail than you're not going to get on your benchmark maps and things like that.
For campsites.
Because the areas are huge.
So let's continue on with the house sit.
Yes, the house sit. Yes. So the house sit was a great house sit. Ava and John, we'd love to come back and house sit for you guys again.
Yep.
The sad part of the house sit?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the dogs, Roxy, was about 12 years old. And though she acted like a 12-year-old dog, I'm sure everybody's had a 12-year-old dog or knows a 12-year-old dog, they slow down. And Roxy was no different, but she still, when we would go on a walk at the beginning of our house sit, she would follow us. She knew all the shortcuts, so if there was a trail that was a very smart dog, if there was a trail that had a switchback, you'd turn around, she wouldn't be anywhere, and then you'd look up, and as slow as she went, she'd always be ahead of us because she knew all the shortcuts. So on or about the third or fourth day, fifth day, she started really slowing down quite a bit. Real slow.
Not eating as much.
Yeah, not eating as much. And unlike when we first got there, she stopped talking to us.
Right, she would love to talk to you. Woof, 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 woof.
Yeah, all the time. And she was deaf, so that was kind of interesting that she would do that. But she could definitely understand your gestures. If you wanted her to come, she would come and things like that. And then as the house sit progressed, there was the couple of nights before the house sit was over, and we tried to stay in contact with the owners as much as we could about her and sort of kept her comfortable. And then a couple of nights before they were to get back, or maybe a night or only a night before.
No, it was the night.
The night before they were to get back was actually when.
Right. I mean, the dogs were pretty much, they were used to staying outside at night.
Yeah.
But like I had said to Ava, I'm making them come in at night. I just felt more comfortable with that. Especially then after seeing the mountain lion.
Yeah.
So the night before, Tuesday night before they got home, Roxy and Dolce were in the house. Roxy all of a sudden wanted to go out. So I let her out.
Late.
It was late. It was probably like
2 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning. Let her go out, watched her go off. She was great bathroom habits. She'd go out into the high grass, but then I couldn't see her. So I got the flashlight out. I went looking for her. Could hear her walking through the woods going towards the road, the dirt road between their barn and the house. So Dolce and I, we found Roxy down by the barn. She was laying down by the barn by the big water
3 o'clock dish. At night. Now the temperature is dropping at this point too. It's pretty cold out.
Yeah, it's probably like in the
20s, 30s, yeah.
But Roxy didn't want to come back. So I figured it was probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. Dolce was out with her. She'd be okay. Where's she going to go?
Yeah. But the meantime, I was asleep through this whole first process. And then when I woke up,
Dolce was barking.
Dolce was barking outside, and I didn't know that the other one was out. And then I got Dolce in. And then when I went back to bed, I started to think, well, where is I didn't see Roxy in the living room, so maybe Roxy's still outside. So I think I asked you real quick where she was.
Right, and I said
she was outside laying by the barn and wouldn't get up to come in. So about 3:30, 3:45, I started to look for her, and we kept looking for her until about 5:30 or so, when I went back in and I woke Yvette up and said couldn't find her. So then the two of us kept looking for her. I mean, it was like 6:30,
right.
And all of a sudden,
no, she did not show up right then.
6:30?
No.
7?
No. So
8?
at 7 o'clock, I finally called Ava because we were in touch every day about how Roxy was doing, and I said, and I knew that they were thinking about maybe calling the vets, and we might have to take her in that day. And I wanted to talk to her before they talked to the vets because we couldn't find her. So I'm talking to Ava and John, and they're reassuring me that, it's okay. I'm like, I can't find her anywhere. So you and I are still out walking, looking. We're scouring. I mean, it's not like you're in a neighborhood. You got woods, and Roxy
they had about 45 acres.
Blended in with the grasses, her coloring.
Yeah. You just couldn't see her. If she was 20 feet away from you in the high grass and her head was down, you wouldn't see her.
And then finally, I'd been out scouring this one area looking for her. I came back to the barn to do something. I turn around and come out of the barn, and there she is walking right where I just been.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was just...
Yeah, so we got her up to the house, and got her to where we could keep an eye on her, and we pretty much kept a real solid eye on her until the owners got home.
We left about 5 and then made her come in the house, and John and Ava got back about 9 that night.
Yeah. And then, unfortunately, they took her to the vet the next day, and it looked like lymphoma.
That's
she had
the
lymphoma,
message that we got.
And it was just getting worse, so they had to put her to sleep, and that was pretty sad. So the house sit was just a really great experience all the way around, even though there was definitely some sad moments. It was just great for us because we got, the animals were all great.
Yeah.
The cats were full of personality. Dolce was a fun dog to be able to be on the trail with, as well as Roxy was at the beginning. The 2 horses have plenty of personality. Really got to
Burrito
and the cat. Every single time you would put grain in the grain dish for the donkey, the cat would come out of the barn and get right in the dish
and
rub
oh my God,
do the whole thing with the meal, and twice a day.
Yeah.
And then I know Ava has had pictures of the cat on top of the donkey.
Yeah.
I'd like to have seen. It would be interesting to see if the cat actually gets up there by himself. But so very cool there. The property was neat to walk through. We got some internet stuff done. The library in town had some really screaming Wi-Fi like I've never seen before, ever, not just on this trip, but ever. Library at home, any place. So kudos to them. Other than that, we left, like Yvette said at the end. We stopped by a barbecue place in Colorado City because we left late and had dinner on the road, and then headed back down to Trinidad Lake State Park.
We did that for a reason, because they were supposed to get a major snowstorm come in
that Friday and Saturday,
right? And we're like, now we got to leave Colorado again and go back down south.
Because I think weeks before, our plan sort of was to get there
and then just stay in Colorado.
Yeah, stay in Colorado, but just because of the weather. So you'll see on the next vlog number 24, that we did in fact stay at Trinidad Lake State Park. And then we're going to be heading back. Oh, I'm not going to tell you that until the next vlog.
Exactly so.
Stay tuned to the next vlog, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.